Monkey, find my location.
You asked me to figure out where this video was recorded, so I did. Hi, I'm Monkey, and I find people who ask to be found. Guys, I pride myself on using clever deductions, technical skill, and pure dedication to find many of these places. But sometimes all those things are no match for dumb luck. Yo, I feel like that was directed at me. Anyway, this find started off with methodical deductions, but it took a bit of a chaotic turn. So what can we see? This person starts the video by asking to be found, but then they add this additional bit of information.
Monkey, find my location. FYI, this is not where I live.
As I'll explain in a second, this appears to be a hotel parking lot, so I think it's safe to assume that this is not where they live. I think bro is trying to say that they don't live in this town. Okay? Like, they probably think that you're going to use their profile to find them or something. Oh, you think so? Okay, let the record reflect that this person does not live in this parking lot, or I guess anywhere nearby. As I turn the camera, we can see this sign, which tells us that this is a Quality Inn hotel. As I continue turning the camera, we see this other sign, which is really hard to make out. I'll come back to that. Next, we see some cars here and some sort of embankment. Up the hill from this spot, we can see a building that has what appears to be maybe a drive-through lane on the back of it. We can also see this covered area at the edge of the building here. But honestly, it was too dark to really make out what this was. I thought it could be part of a gas station, but it also might be an awning attached to the building, so I wasn't really sure. Then we have one more sign here that is rather tall, and that's about it. Okay, so we know we have a Quality Inn hotel here, and we have two other signs. The very tall sign at the end looked like it was a Starbucks logo to me. Also, the fact that the sign is so tall told me that this was probably near a major highway or interstate. They use really tall signs like this near highways so that traveling motorists can see them. The other sign that we see was a bit harder to make out. I eventually concluded it was a sign for another hotel, a Hampton Inn. Some of you may recall that in the Find Me challenge that I posted back in April, that we saw a Hampton Inn sign. And while they normally look like this during the day, mostly blue and white, at night when they're illuminated, they look like this. So I was pretty sure that's what this was. Okay, so we have a Quality Inn, a Hampton Inn, and probably a Starbucks. But where should we look? I didn't really have a good way to narrow this down. I figured it was in the US just because most of the videos I receive are in the US, but other than that, I didn't really have a good way to narrow it down to any specific states. We can see that some of these cars don't have front license plates, which normally would be a bit helpful, but the fact that we're dealing with a hotel parking lot tells me that license plates are probably going to be a bit less reliable here, since the likelihood of someone having traveled from out of state to get here is much higher. So without any obvious way to narrow it down, I figured I just had to search the entire country. There are over 1,600 Quality Inn hotels in the United States, but I knew I could narrow it down by looking at only the ones that were close to these other businesses. So I tried looking for the Quality Inns that were near Hampton Inns and also near Starbucks. I wasn't really sure about the distances though. We can't really see the buildings, only the signs. So I had to cast a pretty wide net to make sure that I didn't miss any if they were a bit farther away. I ended up using a distance of 300 meters for the Hampton Inn and about 200 meters for the Starbucks. So I wrote a data query to see what results I would get. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that the list of results was not that long. So I just dove in and started checking them out. But I looked at all of them and none of them were right. I wondered if maybe I was wrong about the Hampton Inn, so I tried omitting that from my query and just looking for Quality Inns that were close to Starbucks locations. But that got me a ridiculously large number of results. It was way too many to check one at a time. So I tried omitting the Starbucks instead to look for Quality Inns that were near Hampton Inns. And unsurprisingly, that gave me a large number of results as well, because hotels like this tend to be clustered all in one area in many cities. At that point, I just started trying to brainstorm what other things I could use from the video to help me find this. I saw that we had some power lines near the road, and I remembered that we also had a nearby highway, and I thought maybe I could use that information. I also started thinking about whether or not there was a gas station here, but I just felt like I couldn't trust that hunch. Long story short, I tried many different queries here, and some of those took a really long time to run or even timed out, which is not that surprising because if you start querying things like power lines and interstates in the whole country, there's kind of a lot of them. Anyway, while I waited for my data queries to run, I figured I'd try to multitask a bit. I had the silly idea that maybe I could just open up Google Maps and start looking at Quality Inn locations in various different states and hope to find something that matched. I know that sounds crazy, but I was just waiting for my queries to run anyway, so I figured I'd make use of the time. So I just picked a couple states and started looking at Quality Inn hotels in that state. I tried Texas first because I found more people in Texas than any other US state, so I figured why not? But I didn't find it there. I also did not find it in Michigan. I tried Ohio next because Ohio's right next to Michigan. Did I mention this was not the smartest search I'd ever done? Anyway, I started looking at Quality Inn hotels in Ohio, and I hadn't been looking at them for more than a few minutes when I found this. And as soon as I saw this place, I realized two things. First, I was pretty sure this was the hotel from the video. And second, I knew why my queries were failing. But guys, that was it. You are here in the Quality Inn hotel parking lot in Youngstown, Ohio. Okay, so as you probably noticed, this Quality Inn used to be a Best Western, and that is how it appears in the OpenStreetMap database, which is why I wasn't finding it. Anyway, here's a street view of the hotel, and also that other building that we saw nearby, and you were standing right over here. As it turns out, that Starbucks is a little bit further away than I had initially thought, but it still was within the distance that my query should have picked it up, if only the hotel had been properly tagged as a Quality Inn and not as a Best Western. But don't worry, I'm going to go update the OpenStreetMap database right now. Okay, it's time to check which previous location was closest to this one, and this time it was in Season 1, Episode 276 in Austintown, Ohio. That's only 2.5 miles or about 4 kilometers away from the spot. Guys, go check out my map to see all the places I've found for you so far from the videos you sent me, and if anybody else wants me to find them, record a video where you say, "Find me, Jose Monkey," or something like that, on camera, or hold up a sign that says something similar. And don't forget to tag me in a comment on that video.